strings pulling you from the ceiling, from your sternum to the ceiling, and pulling you up gracefully. And release. All right. Yes or no? Are you guys ready to learn? No or yes?
Yes. Yeah.
You guys ready to learn? No or yes?
Yes.
What I'm excited about, why I'm really excited, I'm excited about a lot of things. But why I'm really excited is because what you're about to encounter right now is where I got passionate, really passionate about public speaking. Now I do it as a profession. But when I was sitting in your chair is what was called KLC. KLC in Myrtle Beach. And it was the whole region. And I was sitting in chairs like this, and I just delivered a speech at a team meeting not too long before I heard the message, or something similar to what you're about to experience. And my first speech, has anybody given a talk at a team meeting before? Say aye. Aye. And you just stand there and like kind of read your notes. And I don't know about you, but my first team meeting speech, I wrote the word, don't say I wrote that on my thing. And I just read. I had my sheet, I didn't even look at the audience, and I just stood behind the desk. And then I got the courtesy vector, like, good job. You did so well. But then I heard this talk, and I was like, it wasn't that good. But I took this talk, ran with it, and now I turned it into a profession. Mr. Gamboa laid the foundation for the rest of my life after hearing how to public speak and professional speak. You're going to learn how to connect with an audience. You're going to learn how to use your verbal and nonverbal communication to your advantage to connect with the crowd. You're going to learn posture. You're going to learn the language. You're going to learn how to connect with your audience at a deeper level so that way what you are trying to communicate to them will actually land. Are you guys ready to learn this? No or yes?
Yes.
I don't need to bring up Mr. Gamboa with his stats. You already know the energy that he brings. You already know the engagement. You ever have a Jeff talk to you and you feel like he's just talking to you? No or yes?
Yes.
That's called interaction. He's going to teach you all about how he does that behind the scenes. You guys ready to learn this? No or yes?
Yes.
So without further ado, to learn how to public speak professionally, how to bring the energy in the room, and how to connect with an audience, help me bring up Mr. Gamboa.
Time out. Who just did the book? Who just that? Are you Jamaican? No. You should be. That's cool. Have a seat. So, before we start, why is this such an important skill to have? And we'll go Cutco first. So just shut them out. Why is public speaking such an important skill, attribute, ability? You need it. For what in Cutco?
Everything.
Everything.
Talking to people.
Okay, speaking to people. I agree.
So you're a professional.
Okay, professionals know how to connect and speak at a high level. Would you agree? Yes, thumbs up if you agree with that. Really powerful leaders can speak with enthusiasm and connect with people. Sorry.
This speaker's humming.
The big question. Why else do we need John Heisman?
To recruit.
Yeah, when we recruit, when you run an interview, that's public speaking. That's public speaking 101 because you have to be able to speak to the applicant, connect with the applicant. How else and where else do you need to speak? Public speak. Abby.
Confidence inspires confidence in the product.
Okay, so who has gone back to their first few appointments and thought about how low your confidence was, and you said, of course they didn't buy. I wouldn't buy for myself. Raise your hand if you've been there. Okay, so on a micro level, being able to speak one-on-one is important. Why else? How about in life? Why is this important? Go ahead, Gabe.
Basically just to lead anything, whether you're a captain of a sports team, basically anything else, you can be able to speak to masses.
And leaders need to be heard. Would you agree with that? Leaders need to be heard. So what I want to take you through, we're not going to take you through the ultimate set or Cutco kitchen of public speaking. That's Michael Bromwitz. Okay, those are professional seminars. But at TLA, we want to build the foundation, the basics. And at the top of your notes, let me write down basic building blocks of public speaking. Basic building blocks. Now, these will be light bulbs for you if you have no no exposure to this. But from a public speaking standpoint, these are the essentials. And I would even say districts and branches, veteran district managers, please, I'm going to ask that you guys look to refine your own messages. Even the guys in the back, Luke and Andrew and Carlos, I ask that you guys be engaged too. In the back here, Campbell, I see Reed, branch manager. I'm going to ask, because one thing I do know is that when the whole division, it takes a really big focus look at public speaking and doesn't tune out during the public speaking talk because I've heard it before. Well, that's hubris. Hubris is, oh, we already got this. Well, I've seen some of the public speaking from our managers, and I go to region conferences. I'm not that impressed. Sometimes at our meetings, I'm not that impressed. And if we're going to be the team we want to be in 2019, we're not just going to have public messages. We're going to give dynamic talks. I want everyone to go to your schools and go to your community. And someone says, hey, I want you to speak at our church. Gabe, I want you to speak at church to the youth group. And you crush it. I want you to go at the family reunion. You're going to say it. You're going to give the toast. And you crush it. Right? You're asked to give a talk at your team meeting. And you crush it. And they say, what was that? And you just say, oh, United training. I train with United because we learned this because this is important. So you guys engaged with this? Yes?
Yes.
So I think the first thing I want to talk to you about preparing your message. So let's talk about that for a second. Preparing the message. You see, the objective of what I want to talk to you about today are the building blocks that you can use to continuously get better and better and better at your public speaking skills. I'm going to talk about preparing the message. I want to talk to you about structure and how do you put the message together. I want to talk about how you intro and introduce and start a message. How do you come up, what are the first things that come out of your mouth to connect with the crowd? And then I want to give you the bullets on how do you give the right amount of information so you're not losing people, but enough information where people feel like they got value. Who's been on both sides of the audience where it was kind of short and you liked it, but you didn't get much value, too short or not enough info? Who's been on the other end where it felt like a lecture? Okay, so we're gonna talk about that. We're gonna give you skills on how to close your presentation and your talk and your message, and then we'll wrap up today with just some do's and don'ts. And a lot of them are so funny because we do it. A lot of them are so funny because you see it all the time. Okay, and we'll wrap things up. So preparing your message. Number one, I want you to write down types of messages, and I'll do what's applicable to Cutco first. So first years, people, this is your first time at COC. What are the type of messages you've seen at Cutco conferences, Cutco events? Let's do it in terms of what type of messages you've seen. So give me a shout. There's three basic types. Who can give me one? Gustavo. Closing, okay, that's the subset, right? So closing is what type of a message? Informative or instructional? So you can write that first one down. Informative or instructional? I'm going to give a closing talk. I'm giving an instructional message right now. Message on how to get your customers to get you more recommendations. That's tomorrow with Brenna. How to run an interview. That's Teal Life. Okay, go ahead. Okay, motivational, right? Number 2. District managers. That's Brian Hurlman, 48 hours ago. Okay. That's the end of the conference at SC2. That's the motivation and wanting to really purely, passionately pull people's attention. And give me the third one. Just go ahead. Promotion. Promotion. That might be an event. Promotion of get to the next conference. Who's ever had your manager say, you've got to go and meet Jeff at the SLDM? You just got delivered a promotional talk. What else do we promote besides events? Opportunities like Cutco through college. We've been promoting that consistently. So I think the first thing is knowing the type of messages. Number 2, under preparing your message is know your structure and know your style. Okay, one of the things I encourage you to do is YouTube is the greatest tool in the world to increase your public speaking. Because all you have to do is type in either a motivational author or speaker, go to a Cutco conference, go to SC2 YouTube, Cutco through college, Jeff Gamboa, and watch that and see what you like and see what you take. For me, Mike Abramovic speaks, and I'm humbled and really excited to see that Mike took my message back in 2004. Yeah, 2004. I've been giving this message for years. 2004, that basic message has turned now into a professional speaker who runs a completely separate and independent business with a speaking ability. That's exciting. Okay, for me, it was Rich Plaskin. Rich Plaskin just got promoted to next generation manager of our company. He's the former division manager of Virginia, and he's a Cutco legend, Cutco great. And I watched him on stage, and he had this energy. Maybe it's Anthony Robbins. How many of you from Alliance remember Tony Robbins? You've seen many videos, okay? In politics, right? And not to discuss specific politics, but you'll see different people have different styles. Then you go and watch the ESPN ESPY Awards. And you see Kevin Hart kill it, right? And then you go to the Grammys or the music, and then you can go on and on. Look for opportunities. So right now, I want you to brainstorm and write down 2 or 3 people that you want to learn from, 2 or 3 people that you like listening to. Write their names down, make it a point to watch one of their videos in the next 7 to 10 days. Just listen to it in the car. For me, Anthony Robbins has been a very big one. That's why I chose to go to one of his seminars several years ago, and it's changed my life. But I really enjoyed how he delivered his messages.
My last name is spelled A-B-R.
So appropriate style. So for example, if I'm about to get up and speak to, who am I going to try and speak to this fall? The St. Thomas Aquinas High School senior class and possibly the PTA Association. That's one of my goals this fall, to speak to one of our biggest, most productive high schools for Cutco in Broward County. When they bring me up and they say, and from our Cutco Corporation here in Broward County, let's give a round of applause to Mr. Jeffrey Gamboa. Hey everybody, what's going on? Let's go! I just lost the whole crowd, but I didn't lose you guys. I just chest bumped Marcel here 2 seconds ago. That's an appropriate style. Who remembers what that's called? That's called mirroring. Okay? If I'm going to speak in front of that crowd, I'll probably take the presidential. Hey parents, good evening. Might throw a joke in. How many of you came to our Fort Lauderdale Parents' Night? Saw a little subdued Jeff, didn't you? On purpose. So think about style matching. That's really important. Third thing when it comes to preparing your message is researching and knowing your audience. Researching and knowing your audience. Ever been to a wedding and see a really bad, poorly executed joke in a best man speech? It hurts, doesn't it? They didn't do their research. They didn't do their research. So I've given probably, I want to say 7 speeches at weddings, 7 to 10, somewhere. I lost. My last one was my sister's wedding last year. And I make it a point to, during the reception, knowing that I'm getting the message, and this is the Cutco TLA in me. I'm trying to celebrate, I'm meeting people, and I want to connect with the crowd. So I'm asking questions. So during messages, for me, it's easy at this event. Why? Why is it easy for me to know the audience? Right, and we're on the same culture, it's a division management. But if I'm at a parent meeting, I'll mix and mingle and talk to the mom and dad. Okay, and we actually had one of those a few months ago where I met, doctors and lawyers and prominent people, and then I also met kind of very humble background. And I was very careful to make sure I connected appropriately with everyone. And by the time I did not start that meeting for 30 minutes into it, and Rachel, you were there. We started 30 minutes late because I didn't start until I knew I was connected with all the parents. So if I got up and I knew I wasn't connected, that message wasn't going to go well. I would rather have a shorter message, but than to run a message where I'm not connected. Is that light bulb for some people? Sometimes we just want to talk and you don't know your audience. So work the crowd. And what's great is you can work the crowd, and let's say I'm talking to Carlos, and Carlos is into paintball, I find out. What's really great is I can create what I call ambassadors of the audience. You can write that down. Ambassadors of the audience. Okay, let's say I know that Carlos is passionate about nationally ranked paintball competition, which he did, by the way. And I'll talk to Rhiannon, who is passionate about giving to her community and competing in pageants. And I'll talk to Gabe, who's passionate about music and his family. And I'll talk to John, who's passionate about his personal record with the deadlift, because we were talking about weightlifting that one time. So I've created ambassadors. And what's really cool is I know that if I have a lot of ambassadors, I've got one over there. Notice on purpose, I have one over there, got one over there. Maybe I know that Rachel really, really, really loves University of Florida and going to school there. Right? Marcel really loves being Venezuelan.
I do.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I'm not lying. Okay. I know about this. Grandpa's the man. Mm-hmm. Right. Animals love to give and take care and protect animals in the environment. Football in your church. So what I have now are ambassadors, and what I call ambassadors of the audience are the ones that either A, are going to give you energy during the message, and I'm setting this up before, they're going to give you energy during the message, or B, get the crowd going. So I'll look down and I'll talk and I'll say, right, Amanda, that's basketball. So I've had that conversation. This is really easy for me because I've interviewed 121 of you. So I know all these things. The next question might be, well, how does he remember all this? Ready? Listen. That's not this talk. Just listen. So now I have ambassadors, and when I'm walking around, if I'm giving a message, I'll look at my ambassadors, and those are my key points. I'll finish my thoughts, and then I'll move on. And I'll look at Carlos, and I know we're connected with people, and I'll move on. And I'll look to Reed. And without a doubt, I'm connected, but I also know I'm connected. So, for example, every time I look at Reed, she smiles. And as a speaker, and Mike can relate to this, as a speaker, you feed off of the crowd. So if everyone is, you got to find those people who will give you energy. Okay, so work the crowd before. Any light bulbs on that? Yes? Okay. Last few things for preparation is rehearse. There's nothing wrong with rehearsing. I'll be giving a big message at our national conference in a few months. And I promise you, I will be rehearsing that message. The reason you rehearse is that you don't have to think. Whether you're telling a story or a joke, and this summer has been the blood pressure summer. Story of my dad asking for blood pressure. Raise your hand if you know that story. Yeah, that's been this summer's go-to story. And every summer kind of changes. But there's a delivery to that. And there's sometimes, if you notice, where I'll tell the story all the way, and sometimes I don't tell the end of the story until the end. Who's heard it before? What's the moral? Billy rolls up his hand. My dad says, "You doggy. It's not what you ate Chinese food 2 nights ago. It's about what?" Yeah, so what's the rule? Consistency is key. Now affects later. But there are times where I'll tell the story and I'll tell it all the way to the point. And Billy rolled up his sleeve and he said, "Dr. Gamboa, I just said Chinese." My dad looked at him. I'll tell you what I said later. Ready? What am I doing? I'm catching your attention. You want to know the end of that story? You got to listen to the rest of my message. Light bulb? Yeah. So that's an advanced technique. Mike knows that. You don't finish the story, but it's got to be a good story. See that? Okay. And the last few things, this has to do with bigger messages, but know your stage or know your office. Now, when you write that down, I mean, here, this is a stage. Know your stage, know your office. In your office, know the area around the desk that you're speaking. A couple things to look out for. Look out for wires. If you don't know I've seen this before. Mike's seen this before. Someone run on stage and they fall on stage. I've seen that. Or they're not quite acquainted with the stage. And I've seen a former district manager run up for his talk and fall. You know, people fall down steps. He fell up the steps onto his face. And it was the big whoo, like ouch. That's a great way to start, isn't it? Know your stage if you're at a big conference, because sometimes the stage isn't level. Do you know that at SC2 the stage was falling off on the left? Yeah. Some of you didn't know that, but I did. Thank goodness, because I walked to the stage. We kept an eye on it. We kept an eye on it. Know if you're at the office. Let's say this is the office desk. Just know where things are. If you're going to be presenting how to sell the fisherman solution, know where the damn fisherman solution is. Right? My objective, my message today is to talk to you guys. It's the 9 of you. How to crush accessories. And fisherman solution is my favorite. Hey, can I get a fisherman solution? You just lost all credibility in 10 seconds because you're giving a talk and you don't even have the knife. Can you see how not preparing? You have to know where your materials are and know where things are. Know your notes, etc. And notice on purpose, I didn't give this message with a keynote because that's later. That's advanced when you use visuals. Right now, I just want you to get the structure. So I'm going to stop that for a second. Give me some light bulbs. I'm going to make this interactive and digestible. Even from vets. Sean. Yeah, you got to know your crowd. See, this one's easy. A lot of you have tried to talk to me during the break, and I kind of respectfully dissed you. I'm kind of in meeting mode. But if I didn't know this crowd, if you weren't the 40 United TLA candidates that I've already interviewed, I would be talking to all of you a lot before the message. Okay? Other takeaways, Trey?
Spend time going around and actually.
Yeah, meeting people. And so, what's the first thing you learn about the way to make a sale? What's the first step to the sale? You got to build rapport. Why? Because when you build rapport, they're tied into you, and the rest is easy. You guys understand that? It's no different in public speaking, because I'm also making a sale of whatever I'm talking about for you to listen. I hope that registers as a light bulb. I'm making a sale. Mike was just making a sale on why you should put rocks, pebbles, and sand. And you have to be able to make a sale. First step in the sale is to build, connect, and explain why you're working or why you're speaking. No different. Yeah.
Various stages around you, so you don't. I think that's nice.
Yes, you don't check the audio. There's nothing worse than faulty tech. We'll do one more. Orlando.
I think the first point you said was not just know the message, but know your style. It's a lot of people want.
Yeah. Okay, so they're different. Let's talk about that for a second. It's a little side note we had time. Let's talk about different styles. There's high energy. Name someone who's high energy. Like high energy. Ryan Perlman is high energy. Okay. Sometimes high energy / wild. I tend to get that label from time to time. Okay. Then you have presidential. Scott. Who else? Who else did you just literally heard from the president? Al Leonardo. Even though he has crazy, shows you his tattoos, you know that. Okay. Some are more serious. So finding different styles. In fact, I would say the public speaking circle of influence challenge I have for you is in the next 7 to 10 days. Watch 3 or 4 people that you never would have watched before, and watch at least a 5 up to 10 minute speech. Conan O'Brien, commencement speech, Dartmouth University. Steve Jobs, commencement speech. A lot of great ones. Adam Sandler, Jim Carrey. These are all commencement speeches and graduation speeches that are unbelievable. Barack Obama acceptance speech. The list goes on and on and on. Just look up great speeches and you'll see. Okay. I want to talk to you, number 2, about structure. Talk about structure for a second. The great Lee Iacocca, business mogul, former CEO of GE, said, whenever you're giving a message, there's 3 parts. You tell them what you're going to tell them, you tell them, and then you just tell them what you told them. Say it again. This is Lee Iacocca. He said, you tell them what you're going to tell them, tell them what you're going to tell them. Number 2, tell them. And number 3, tell them what you just told them. Huh? You tell them what you're going to tell them. You tell them. And then you tell them what you just told them. So real basic, you tell them what you're going to tell them. The objective of my message today is to talk to you about rocking the SC2 push. What do? I just told you what I'm going to tell you. During my message, I'm going to tell you about how to set up your attack list, how to crush it during the push mentalities, and then how to finish strong. Let's start with that, and then that's the point number 1. I want to talk to you about how do you set up your attack list. Number 2, I want to talk to you about how do you rock the push and what's the right mentality to have to give the points. And finally, my last point is how to finish strong. This is what you do to have a killer end to your 10K fast start or your 10K SA2 push. Give the thoughts. So I just told them. What's the 3rd step? Tell them what you. So in summary, having a great push means you have to have the right work ethic and have the right mentality. Number 2, have the right attack list. And then number 3, make sure you finish strong. So let's have a great push, everybody. Thanks for your time. Say that again. And you can do that with Cutco, but you can change it up. Tell them what you're going to tell them. Then what? One more time. Tell them what you're going to tell them. Then?
Tell them.
And then tell them what you just
told them.
That's it. So we'll do any random topic. Erica Balance, give me any random topic. That's not Cutco. Cars. Okay. Thanks, Mike, for the introduction. I'm excited to talk to you about cars today. I want to talk to you about why cars are important for our society. I want to talk to you about my favorite cars, and then I want to talk to you about how you're going to get your own car. Okay? I love cars because they have 4 wheels. They're amazing. They go from point A to B, and soon we won't even need anyone to drive them. My favorite cars are BMW because mine is free. And you can get a car, by the way, 3rd point, you can get a car yourself if you start selling lots of Cutco, save money, and earn your spot at the TLX. We'll teach you how to sell a car. So in closing, Cars are amazing. They run the world. They have 4 wheels. My favorite's a Beamer. And you can get your car if you keep working hard with TLA. Thanks, everybody. Let's get some cars. Does that work? See that? So that's cars. Tell them what you're going to tell them, then you.
Tell them.
And then tell them what you just
Told them.
The objective of my message today is to talk to you why and speak to you of why I'm so excited about getting my spot onto TLA. I'm excited because of blank, excited because of blank, excited because of blank. You tell them in closing, and you close off for new people. Don't stop there. Any light bulbs on that? Keep it really structured. If and when you sign up for a public speaking class, and you absolutely should, especially if you're in TLA, first of all, it's kind of like Mila with Brickle and VIP night. She bought the dress before she hit VIP night. Get the A before you take the class. You should get an A in public speaking. If you don't, then you're not United trained. That's for sure. Tell them what you're going to tell them, and tell them what you just told them. Light bulbs, yes? Someone else with your hand up? Go ahead.
Yeah, I remember when I first heard this. It's like writing a paper. Like writing a paper. Yeah. It's like your introduction, your body paragraphs, and your closing.
It's like a paper, it's organized. Any other light bulbs? Okay. Next one. I want to talk to you about the introduction. How do you start messages? So from a basic standpoint, let me give you 4 really basic and kind of fun ways to start a message. Number 1 is a story. Number 1 is a story. Number 2 is a joke. Number 3 are facts. I'll give you examples. Number 4 are strong questions, emphatic questions. So story, joke, facts, and questions. Stories, jokes, get facts, and then you pose questions. Let's do a story. You know, there was once this small town in the South, and this wealthy oil mogul, millionaire, practically owned the town. And one day he called the entire town to the most dangerous part of the river, where all the snakes and poisonous animals were, the jagged rocks, people were known to slip, hit their heads, and die. So he called the whole town. And on the other side, of course, with his helicopter, he pulled his bullhorn out and said, "Hey, everybody, I'm looking for the most courageous man in this town. And anyone, because I have unlimited money, and I mean anyone can swim across this, will earn my respect, and I have the money to grant you anything you want." So who in this entire, before he could finish, someone dove in. And the whole town ran to the river and said, "Oh my God, he's going for it!" And they were cheering him on. He was dodging all these poisonous snakes and almost slipping on the rocks, and they were rooting him on. And he made it to the other side. So the gentleman put him in his helicopter, flew it right across, got out, puffing and puffing with exhaustion, sweating, almost died. He said, "Young man, whatever you like, what would you like?" He said, "Good talk." He goes, "You want money? How much, young man?" He said, "I don't want your money." You smart businessman. You want to be a business partner, long term. You like that? I like where you're at, boy. He says, "No, no business. You want my daughter's hand in marriage. You are smart businessman. Come into the family. This is my, I'm married. Yeah. You don't want money. You don't want to be part of my business. You don't want my daughter's hand in marriage. You could have anything you want. And you dove in. What do you want, son?" "I want the son of a bitch push me in." Sometimes in life, we just need someone to push us, to help us get onto the other side. The objective of my message today is drive, motivation, and circles of influence. Today, see how the story started that? Now the story, did the story tie in? Yeah, the moral of the story. So here's a really cool advance, and I know Mike has this. Have your arsenal of stories, meaning if the message is blank, what's your story that says that? Jeff Gamboa has a consistency is key. Habits are positive. Blood pressure, Dr. Gamboa. Do A-player work. District managers, you've heard this at Windup. Do A-player work. The story of the builder who was asked to build his final house, and he cut corners at the end, and the owner and the project developer said, "This is your house. Thanks for doing one more house." What's the moral of the story? Always do A-player work. So find different motivational stories. Okay? Second, joke. You can feel you guys know. And good joke. Now make sure it's an appropriate joke. If it's a loose crowd, then a loose joke is appropriate. If it's a really tight crowd and you tell a loose joke, ouch. Get crickets, and that's the worst. Actually, I did that at my brother's wedding. Bad move. Too much Diet Coke, though. Problem. Ready? Third is fact. What's the third one? Fact. One more time. What's the third one? Fact. So, ready? So Mike, thanks, Mike. Oh, side note, this is not advanced, this is respectful. When you come up to the stage, look at the MC and shake their hand and say thank you. And MCs, if you're ever an MC, wait for the speaker to come up. This is from the Key Club. This is directly from professional speakers. Wait for them, shake their hand, and if you ever notice, I bring up Scott Dennis, I make sure I go up to Scott, and sometimes he wants to one, I give him a little shot. I want to make sure. That's just kind of handing off the baton, if you will. So fact. So Mike, yeah, thanks, Mike. Fact. It is harder than ever to get a job in your major without experience. Fact. It is hard to be a college student. Fact. Most students go through college for 4 years and have no experience to put on the resume, at least meaningful resume experience. The objective of my message today is to talk to you about how cutthroat through college can help fix all that. My first point, see what I'm doing? Okay, any light bulbs on that? That's fact. Last one is question. What's the last one? Questions. Mike brings me up. How many of you have ever felt that you had no time and were so overwhelmed? Raise your hand. How many of you felt like you didn't have enough time in the day? How many of you felt like as you get older, it just gets harder and you just can't control and spirals out of control? You've ever had that feeling? Yeah. I'm here to talk to you about how to fix that. The objective of my message today is time management. That's how you start with a question. So I'll stop there. Light bulbs? And this is for districts, this is for everybody. I'm in a way trying to run a workshop for the districts too. Any takeaways? I want to stop piece by piece. District, Abby.
And especially questions, when you get your audience to interact with them, with the speaker, then you're building rapport, but you're also making them want to listen to the entire.
Good. Questions create conversation, even if it's internal. Good. Yeah.
Next stories when you capture the attention. Everyone wants to know the end.
Yeah. Be a great storyteller. When do we have to tell stories on the demo? There's two or three areas. Names and uses. Mr. Jones, the other day I was using this knife for this. The other day. What's the second place you tell stories? Guaranteed. Guaranteed. Stories of who? People who have had it. Yeah, other customers. Third. Drop knife and ready. My favorite at the beginning. Oh, Mrs. Jones, I was just over at their house the other day, and Mrs. Jones threw her old knives away, and she got a new set for me. And you're telling stories. The art of storytelling. Okay. Next point. Body. I want to talk to you about the body. Real basic point I'll give you. Don't have too many. Don't have too few points. That's my first basic tip. Don't have too many. And the rule of thumb, I've been taught between 3 and 6 points, depending on your message. And you could debate that, by the way. But have 3 to 6 main points. And when you're new, tell them what you're going to tell them. The objective of my message today is to talk about style and fashion. I have 19 points for you. Too many points. What happens? Right away, before I even tell you the points, what's wrong? Yeah, I lost you. Okay. And if you have too few points, what happens is it actually becomes more points. What does that mean? When you have too few points, it actually becomes way more points. Why?
You start repeating the same thing.
You start repeating the same thing. You start going off on tangents. So between 3 and 5, 3 and 6. The objective of my message today is how to have a great fall push. I have 4 points. I want to talk to you about schedule, phone time, circle of influence, and how to check in with your office. Let's talk about schedule. Go into it. And then, of course, you have your closing. And the most basic way that you close a message is to say, quote, in closing. That's it. So in closing, if we go back to Lee Iacocca, what did he say? Tell them what you're going to tell them, then tell them, and then tell them what you just
Told them.
told them. And you have to tell them what you just told them. In closing, start with the first of the message. In closing, cars are awesome. Who said cars again? Right, Erica. Thanks, Erica. In closing, cars are awesome. Cars run the world. My favorite's a BMW, and you too can get your own car. Let's get some BMWs, everybody. Have a good night, right? Let me talk to you about delivery for a second. Let's talk about delivery. And this is directly from training. 55, 35, and 15%. I know those percentages are debatable, by the way. 55, 35, and 15%. Please write those three down. Raise your hand if you're having day three-day Cutco training deja vu. 55, 35, and 15. 15% of communication are the words that you use. But as you know, it's not what you say, everyone, it's what?
How you say it.
35% is voice inflection. Write that down. It's not what you say, it's
How
how
you
you
say
say
it.
it. So if I'm really excited, I have a message, and I'm trying to drive home a point, you should talk like this, because speed creates enthusiasm. But we want to talk like this if we're honoring someone who passed. Then we'll talk like this if we're talking about how to study really focused, because you might lose people. You have to have the appropriate tone. And if it's serious, you probably pause. To make the point. So slow down, speed up, depending on what point you're trying to get across. Slow down, speed up, depending on what point you're trying to get across. Body language. Let's talk about body language for a second. Hands. It's one of my favorite. So in body language, hands make a big difference. And there are actually several YouTubes and TED Talks we're going to use in Table A to show you the power of body language when speaking. So when you're speaking, rule of thumb is waist up. That's the note I want you to write down. Waist up. Hands always above the waist because it creates power. Mike asked you to get into peak state a few minutes ago. He asked you to look up and act as if there's a thread pulling your sternum up to the sky. So without me saying anything, 55% body language, I want you to see how I speak and how you receive this. And it feels awkward. It must look even more awkward. Okay, what's a guy dressed like that doing walking like that? I don't know. It's odd. What's a guy like this going to project? Chest out. Ladies and gentlemen, no matter what, chest out, head up, 2 inches up. Like that. 2 inches up. Okay. Almost to say, I'm speaking not down to you, I'm speaking from authority down to you to give you guidance. Right? Not I'm better than you, I'm speaking at you and down to you, but that confidence. Name some really confident people you've met in Cutco. Andrew is really confident. And when he walks into the room, you can just feel his presence because his body language shows open chest, okay, strength, and hands are always above the waist. In fact, if you watch the video, we watched it earlier, but she lives on Fisher Island, right? If you muted it, it's awesome. If you mute it, you should watch it again, mute it. And he's going like this at the end. His hands are above his waist. Okay, so imagine there's a pool and your hands aren't allowed to touch the water. So you can do anything you want. So watch. You can do hands up, palm up. The objective of my message today is to talk to you about gummy bears. I love gummy bears. You can do hands down. I love gummy bears. Ready? I love gummy bears. I love gummy bears. I love gummy bears. I love gummy bears. But watch this. I love gummy bears. They're just so, I love gummy bears. Does it look awkward? It feels awkward. I love gummy bears. See the power? There's power in posture. You can write that one down. There's power in posture. And I move a lot on purpose, but watch. I don't have to move. Okay, the objective of my message today, I'm on a swivel. The objective of my message today here in our Miami Spartan office is to talk to you about how we're going to win the cup and finish this thing strong. Okay? So, ready? And you can write down in your notes. Find your top 3 most comfortable, home positions or home hand positions, either one. Home, you always go back to base, go back to home, reset. Anyone dance on salsa? Come on, I saw a couple of you dancing to Mark Anthony earlier, right? When you salsa dance, because I dance, the home is the basic. That's basic. You know this, Mr. Dancer. This is basic. That's basic. And then from there, you can do all the flares and all that fun stuff. Okay, and all the. Actually, I don't do that. I'm just kidding. But that's the basic. Same exact thing. What's basic in basketball? You just dribble, okay? You just pass, get the ball, triple threat. You like that? Triple threat. You shoot. I know. Gotta be careful, right? You gotta square up. But that's basic. And then how do you get fancy? You can do behind the back. You can dribble between your legs. Doesn't matter. Go back to basics. So what's your home? Ready? You can do. I find this is my favorite for female interviewers. I love this. There's something really powerful and commanding and confident when a young lady in a business who gets up and says, my name is Rhiannon Smith. I'm the branch manager here in our Tampa office. I'll be running your interview today. Just want to let you know that we weren't able to keep everyone here for a group interview, but you're the 3 that I decided to select for today. And your hands can go all around. Anyone seen someone who speaks with their hands? Distracting. Right? Now you're not. Now you don't listen, because what are you watching? Right? Right? But if you have a home, watch. It forces you. Okay? Ready? Another home? That's a power triangle. Keep it above your waist. Not too high though. Look. Not too low because that's just off. This can be a power home, so pick one. Fist, right? Palms up, really advanced. Palm up is more open. Palm down is more commanding. You shake a hand. This is feel like, hi. I always shake palm up to a lady, so it's inviting, not threatening. Always. Hi, how are you? Nice to meet you. When I see a guy who's a little cocky, hey, how are you? Chest him up. Hand down versus inviting. I always go, this is Ivy. Hi, Ivy. Pleasure to meet you. Leonardo, hey, come on. Chest him up. If I'm neutral, hey, how are you doing? If there's a touch hand, after you touch, that's the good hand. How are you? Follow up. You guys learn that from here. Okay, so this is inviting. This is inviting. When I talk to parents, I always go like this. When I talk to parents, I don't go like this, barely ever. I don't want to feel forced. You guys see that light bulb for you guys? So find out. This is okay too. Who's excited for the push? Yeah. This is good too. Yeah, it's professors for some reason. But the hands are above the waist, right? Are the hands above the waist? Yeah, you're okay. Already, and this is interview 101 right now, September prep. So you can put one hand in the pocket, but always keep one above the waist. Don't do this. Don't do this. You can do this. Okay, you guys get the point. Standing, okay? If you're in your office, plant your feet and just swivel, but stand strong. So ready? Here's the opposite of stand strong. I've seen that. Okay? Anything where the foot's not planted, or ready, the hinge, the hip hinge. Okay? Now, if you watch Mike speak, he was doing it, but he's a professional speaker. He's doing it on purpose. So the hinge for him, let's say, Mandy, you have feedback. He'll move back. He'll walk away. And he was doing this all his message. You weren't even knowing, but he's black magic. So, Mandy, you have feedback. Go ahead. He took a few steps back, and he hinged this way, meaning don't look at me, look at her. Let me get out of your view. Let me get, this is the view, or whatever you look at, you're speaking. Let me get out of the view. Go ahead, Amanda. Not even so I just kind of go like this. A light bulb, you guys see that? Pay attention next time. Erica, go ahead, give me your topic. So I did? Cars, okay, thanks. Then I'll get back on stage. That a light bulb? Okay, so be aware of your body language. Watch the hip, especially with women. It's natural tendency to have that hip hinge. You know, like whatever that is. But for guys too, it's not maybe as feminine, but it's you stand like this. It's just not as professional versus planted, squared, ready to roll. And there's nothing that says you have to go back and forth like I do. There's nothing in the books that says that. I could run a powerful message, keep my hands above the waist, come back to home, and never have my feet leave the ground. Okay. It goes without saying, dress to impress. Okay. Dress to impress. And this is rule of thumb, and if you work in TLA, you know this from me. I always want to be the best dressed man when I walk into the room. I always want to be, because no one will ever say, oh, you look too good. Giovanni, you are too nice. I mean, but there will be times where people can say, I'd rather show up to a party in a tux and be overdressed than show up to a party in shorts and underdressed. That's just kind of gentleman rule of thumb. And ladies too. So with that being said, gentlemen, be in your best business attire when you're speaking. But sometimes it depends on the message. I think in some cases, jeans and a blazer is appropriate. Ladies, whatever we would say is comparable. Okay, and that's a whole nother TLA topic, by the way, business fashion. Eye contact. And I want you to write down next to eye contact quadrants. Similar to what Mike was talking about. So regardless of who and where you're speaking or the size of the audience, you want to pick 4 quadrants. So in this case, this is easy. Why? It's easy. If you notice, I've been making my way. Let's say it's my team meeting. Okay. Let's say it's a team meeting and you're a branch manager and you just started, you have 3 people. Okay? Speak to quadrants and finish thoughts. Speak to quadrants and finish your thoughts. So if I'm over here speaking, I'm going to make sure that I speak to this quadrant in general and make sure that they get the point. And I don't even care about the 3 quadrants to the left of me that I'm not even looking at. Because at some point, I'm going to come over here and then ignore these people and keep my message going. And I might even stay here to make the point. I might even give some deadly uncomfortable eye contact to people in the front row just to make a point. But then when I'm done, they no longer exist. Because here, quadrant 3 gets my attention. So many times we're focused on, well, I have to look at everyone. And what happens is you become the swiveling pendulum. Where you do this. And now you're not paying attention to what I'm saying. What are you paying attention to? How I'm walking. And I see that all the time. When you run an interview, and depending, I know this year, Karina's usually the one that teaches body language in the interview. I don't know who it'll be this year. But let's say I have a 3-person interview. You do the same thing and just finish your thoughts. So I wanted to introduce myself. My name is Jeff Kimbo. I'm the division manager here in our Fort Lauderdale office. I'll be running the interview today. Kevin, just to let you know, the process that we just went through is a pre-screen. You're the 3 gentlemen that I decided to spend more time with today. And I'll get a chance to know you and give you some questions, answer your questions about the company. And then Giovanni, at the very end, I'll meet with each of you one-on-one, come up with some final decisions, and you all walk out of here with a yes or no. That sound good, everybody? Okay, great. Instead of feeling like I have to talk to everyone. So just want to let you know that we're going back and forth. When you can pause and not worry about these 2, what does that show? Confidence. Confidence. Any light bulbs? Okay. Good. Oh, and then last thing, if you have mics.
Just make sure you're not touching something like too close to your mouth. Because you get people pumped up. Say, hi, I'm
sorry, what? I've been guilty of that sometimes. That's why you need to check the mic also. And usually when I'm MC at SC2 at that big conference center, I'm checking the mic about an hour ahead of time. But also, it's like
that movie, you know, with the girls, the acapella, and that little Chinese girl.
Right? It's like her. Pitch perfect. Where's the mailing? You can appreciate that one. And the last two things we'll do a debrief in a second. Speed, right? And don't forget the power of silence. Because if you don't get into TLA, you just end up like everyone else. And I don't know that anyone here signed up to be like everyone else. So let's talk about how you can get into TLA. Get silence, even the water. So yeah, well, let's say you have water.
If you lose your place, drink water.
Okay, next topic, volume. That's what I did. It just buys you time. Did I lose the appearance of confidence? Next topic is volume. Okay, so use power pauses and water is your friend. Even if I'm not thirsty, I always bring water up. Just in case. Okay. So let me stop there before I wrap up. Takeaways, light bulbs so far on this part. Yeah. Water. Water. Tristan.
Speaking of quadrants.
Speaking the is that a big one for some people?
Yes.
Don't feel like you have to look at everyone all the time. It shows lack of confidence.
I think waist up is a real big thing.
Waist up. Okay. Some of you are gonna start walking. Some of you are gonna start walking around now. Marcel.
Foot planted.
Foot planted. You don't have to be mobile as much as I am. Amanda. Incorporate silence. Yes. Power of silence. Mark. How many of you feel like this is your home? How many feel like this? This. Power triangle. Okay. District managers. Branch managers. What's your power home and home? District manager, stand up. Branch manager, stand up. Luke, stand up. Run an interview for me without saying anything. Run an interview. You're muted. Go. Just run the first part of the group interview. Don't say anything. Watch them. Act as if you're running an interview for me. Ready, go. I'm the applicant. Start your group interview. Start talking. Be on mute, but use your hand motions. Go ahead. Right. Keep going. Don't stop. I'm going to point people out. You guys don't stop. Okay. So look at Antoine. Power triangle. Okay. Look at Karina. Yeah. Or Karina's like this sometimes. Okay. I don't know. Like when I see a female dressed up in a business suit and she's confident and she goes, I watch Heidi practice her presentation. She goes, right, just. Okay. Keep running in. Go ahead. All right, we have the pseudo arrow. Okay. Some people it's like this. Mine used to be touch my Hall of Fame ring. I used to just always hold it for some reason. And Luke is like this. Okay. Andrew's like this. Hold. Soleil, the sweet things like this. Okay, so look confident. No hip hinge. Watch Soleil, hip hinge. Attitude, biatch. Right, versus. Look at the difference in hip hinge, biatch. And how does this look? Bad HBI. I can't say that again. He's the HBIC, the head in charge. You can think about it for a second. Got it? All right, have a seat. Thanks for that. Can we give our districts and branches a round of applause? give you a few random do's and don'ts. Are you guys getting value from this message?
Yes.
Wait till TLA. Wait till TLA. When you write your notes, bullets, not full sentences. I'll say it again. When you write your notes, have bullets, not sentences. Because most of the time, all of you are giving a message or a talk. No one here really gives speeches. It's different. There's a difference between a talk / message. Like Mike Abramus just gave a talk on time management, a message on time management. Conan O'Brien gave a commencement speech at Dartmouth University. What's the difference? A speech is written word for word. Okay? And that's way more advanced. A lot of times you have to memorize it, or you have what's called a teleprompter. We don't have teleprompters. So we give a talk, not a message. Managers, you can relate. Luke, I want to give a speech at the meeting. Nope. No one gives speeches. Okay. Bullets. Notice here, these are my notes for this talk for the last, I don't know how many years. They're just bullets. But what's really important? What's one thing you have to do when you prepare for your message to make sure you're comfortable and don't mess up? Rehearse. So I already know what these bullets mean because I've rehearsed it. And all I have to do is look at the bullet. How many of you can relate to that with your Cutco training manual? Right? That right there? You've done it so many times that all you have to do is, who's ever done this? You don't even need your manual, but you just turn it, and you see the first 2 words, you know the whole page. Raise your hand if you know what I'm talking about. It's the same thing with messages. Okay? Also, side note, number your pages in case, right, if this were to happen in lifetime, I'd go, oh. Okay, so notice the silence, the pause gives me time, but it gives me confidence. Versus, oh, I lost my place. Don't say out loud you lost your place. We'll come to that in a second. So some don'ts. Watch your pace and don't speak so fast that people can't understand you. If you're talking too fast, they don't understand you and think you're a message they don't understand. Happens all the time, especially on the phone. It's the same thing. Avoid fillers. You know what's really interesting? Tape yourself reciting your presentation or learning the interview when you learn the interview tomorrow if you're in TLA. Tape yourself and you will cringe when you hear words like like, no more. You know what I'm talking. You know what I'm talking to. We have a branch manager with every other word out of her mouth was like when I met her 3 months ago. No more. Not anymore. Like. So you're here for the interview basically, literally, that's my anything. Literally what? Versus not literally? honestly, what? Because you're lying other times? So ready? Let me give you the top 5 to 10 filler words that make you look less educated and immature. Ready? Top 5 to 10 filler words that make us be less educated and less mature. Ready? Like. You know, and as far as cars, basically, literally, and literally, right? You don't see CEOs give talks and say, literally I was with my wife, and literally we had this one dinner, and literally it was the best thing I ever ate, literally. So if people who are higher than us speak a certain way with a higher wealth, a higher acumen, a higher professionalism, everything's more put together than our lives, should we speak like our friends or the people where we want to be? Which one? Okay. There's nothing wrong with being cool and having slang with your boys. I think that's okay. I think having certain vocabulary. But when you're speaking in general, right, learning how to maneuver through that. The next one is right. Right. So what do we listed up? Like, literally, basically. You know, right? Any other ones I'm missing? So, yeah, so. Okay. I forgot. If you're watching Espanol, como que, that's Puerto Ricans. Yeah, como que, you know, jefe, como que is the equivalent of like. Yeah, there's a whole bunch. Okay. Raise your hand if you know yours. Raise your hand if you're in the light crew. Who's the light crew? Who's in the basically crew? Oh, mine. Look at mine. Ready? Raise your hand. Raise your hand if you're in the literally crew.
I'm just gonna keep my hand open. Like, don't put it down.
Raise your hand if you're in the bro crew. Bro.
That's Miami.
Ready?
My boy.
Ready? Listen, watch. Bro, vote for me. By the way, I understand slang. Listen, I understand slang, but I also understand why you're here. It's not to be like everyone else. Am I right? There's a difference. Why do you speak like that, bro? You're all grown up.
Maybe.
Okay, so
Yes.
don't use your computer for notes. It's deemed unprofessional, unprepared. Meaning, okay, when you do this, it shows you didn't prepare. It looks like you didn't prepare. Versus either have notes printed out. That scared me. Have your notes prepared out, or if you get really advanced, Mike does. If you notice, Mike didn't have any notes. His notes are either on his keynote / PowerPoint, or he's a professional speaker, so his whole talk's memorized. Some of my messages are too. Okay, so watch out for notes. Don't chew gum. So the objective sounds tacky, looks tacky, right? I've seen it. I've seen reps give their first talk and have gum in their mouth. Ready? Do or be in the room for the 1 or 2 messages before yours. Does anyone know why? Districts, do you know why that's important? Besides from respectfully being in the know. Carlo.
Repeat. I'm sorry. Yeah. So you don't repeat, and also you can allude, you can reference, as Mike mentioned earlier, his message. So
2 reasons. Number 1, nothing looks worse than if you repeat a story or a quote that someone else just said in the message. Okay. If you're repeating someone's quote, you know, Albert Einstein said, what if I repeated Mike's quote? And everyone goes, he wasn't paying attention. I just lost credibility. Or on a positive, why listen to speakers before? Why should I be in the room for Mike's message or Carlos's message if he's speaking for the opening comment? Giovanni, I might get a light bulb. And I might say, and ready? He might have a killer light bulb where Carlos says something and everyone goes, whoa, I'll weave it into my talk. I'll make sure, and like Carlos said, right? Actions speak
Louder than words.
And they already got a lot of value from that. I'm just bringing something that I got value from back to my message. I'm almost stealing power from his talk for mine. See that? Okay. Someone else have a hand raised? What was this?
get a feel for the audience.
Yeah, you also get a feel for the audience. You know they're dead. Or needs some work. Mike never talked about that earlier. Do not read word for word. Do not read word for word. That's why you do bullets. Bullets force you to look up. Don't kill your credibility in 5 seconds. Okay. Thanks, Mike. You know, I'm really not as prepared as I'd like to be, but. Already? Thanks, Mike. This is my first talk. Get up there confident. How many of you have gone to an appointment and you knew something was messed up? You forgot something at the office in the car. You knew something was right in your blue book, but you just ran with it and still sold the set. You were still doing the job without all that being perfect. You don't stop and say, Mrs. Jones, actually, what I was going to show you to help you sell something bigger or buy something bigger, I don't have it. I'm just going to run with it. Don't take away credibility. Don't take away credibility. Don't close too many times. So in closing, what does that mean? We're about to close. But if you say in closing and you go for another 10, 15 minutes, you're not really closing. So be wary of that. Be wary of that. Avoid inside jokes. Avoid inside jokes. So I'm speaking about a topic and I pull an inside joke, right? Mike, like the toothpaste that one night moved the tree. Yeah. What? Right? And what happens there is you're ignoring other people or you're losing people's attention. Do mirror the vocabulary of the group around you. What I mean by that, you gotta be careful because I want to speak professionally, but sometimes you can speak too professional and you speak over people's heads. So who's from my office? Okay. When I train, when I run, when I'm in the office, okay, this time of the year I'm not in the office as much. Okay. Describe what you would say is just vocabulary. When you say, oh, tell me about your boss, don't say boss, but you know, your Cutco boss, that Chinese guy. I'm not Chinese. That Asian guy. Like what, Mila, describe the vocabulary. I would describe how I speak.
It's, I think, a higher level than ours, but we can still understand it.
Okay, higher level, but I can still understand it. Do I sometimes throw in jokes? Do I say it's lit Abercrombie Fitch?
Yeah.
Yeah. Can I act like the dad doesn't know what he's saying? Ready? I know what I'm saying. You know all those jokes, and I act like, oh, Jeff is kind of saying it because he's trying to, is it lit? Is that how you say it? I know exactly how you say it, and I know exactly what lit means, because it's lit AF. I know what all that means. I know everything what you say means. I just don't want to be too relatable to you. I want it to be cool enough. I don't want to be cool with you. I want to be cool enough, because you're not going to respect me if I'm just cool with you. If I'm partying with you, hanging with you, speaking like you. But I'll call you bro. I certainly don't want you to call me bro. Right? In fact, one of our managers in the region called me bro the other day on the text. Oh, sorry for all the emails, bro. And I responded, thank you so much. And do me a favor, please never ever respond to me as bro again. Please. Can we agree to that? I'm so sorry. Don't be sorry. Just please don't call me bro. Because that's not the same level. And when you run offices, is your language going to be lit and super cool with everyone else? And my boy, whatever that is. Right? Whatever that is. That's fine. Or are you going to elevate a little bit so they can respect you? Yes, sir. Austin.
Is it hard if I call, like, let's say, it's cool, brother?
You know, I think it depends. It's 6 one way, half dozen the other. Meaning, I think it depends who you speak to. Personally, I don't feel disrespected by that. Because I use the word brother for other things that mean very close. And I call some of these guys brother, sister, sister. Last few points. When you get up, don't start with how's everyone doing, because what if they're not doing well? They're screwed. let's say you're dead, ready? Hey, how's everyone doing? You started on low. Don't ask them how they're doing. Last few. Don't address and acknowledge the timekeeper. Don't address or acknowledge the timekeeper, aka the MC, aka the person in the back, Mike Abramowitz, who's giving you time. Let me give you an example. Okay. So my next point, 10 minutes? Okay, cool. This is weird. Stay engaged, look up, go like this, watch. So my next point, got it? And ready? Stay on time. Stay on time. And for aspiring managers, my most basic tip for instructional message is don't teach too much unless you have a handout or a great keynote PowerPoint. Don't teach too much unless you have a great handout where you say, oh, everybody, don't worry about taking notes, it's in the handout. But I want you to hear how it's going to sound when you ask the customer to Facebook or friends for your appointment. Give tools to make it easier to absorb. In closing, public speaking has so many elements. How many of you have discovered today more elements than you thought ever for public speaking? There's how to prep for the message, how to intro the message, the body, the closing, and we just talked about a whole bunch of do's and don'ts. So take what you learned from today, take my 7 to 10 day public speaking challenge and find people that you want to model, and let's become great public speakers, right? Cool. Can I get some final light bulbs? We'll do final light bulbs and all. I know, I just did that to you. I just did that to you. What kind of public speaking class? I just did one, right? More or less. More.
Going on as a timekeeper. A lot of people have done it.
Sure.
That I've seen.
I've seen it too. I think it makes me cringe.
Don't talk to my managers like, hey bro, or what's up, blood?
Yeah, and by the way, did you say blood? That's great. Ready? I know, by the way, I want to address this. Some of you have broed me. I know what you mean. I know it's not meant to be disrespectful. I understand, like when a couple of you have broed me today, 2 of you broed me today. I don't look at this disrespectful little. I understand. I understand. Ready? Consistency is key. So the way you've been speaking is pretty naturally going to go in that direction. I'm just asking you to look differently, have a different perspective, and speak more professionally. We'll do 1 or 2 more. Alex. Literally, feel the words. And then we'll do any vets. Let's go districts or branches. Just reminders or takeaways of maybe sometimes where we get away from.
I think you gotta understand it's an ongoing process. Public speaking is an art. It's something that you have to practice constantly. And every time I give this talk, I'm like, be self-reflective on what I'm missing on. So just realizing that don't expect to give your next talk and go, oh man, butchered it. It's like, well, you get that progress.
Yeah, districts and branches. I want us to be able to work on this at a high level and be really good at this. Go ahead.
Stories.
Go ahead.
The first thing I was writing out, I was critiquing my message as you were going through yours. I was like, I forgot this story there, and I forgot this. So, but the biggest thing is the stories.
Yeah. When you get really experienced in management, you have your 3 to 5 go-to stories. That river story with the wealthy oil owner is what used to be one of my all-time go-to stories. Okay, we'll do.
I want to add one more thing. The longer you're here, you'll realize that the one thing that determines the most influential managers is this. Energy's next, but the ability to speak in front of the crowd with poise, confidence, goes hand in hand with CPO. Next time you go to conference, watch.
Yeah, you have to be able to convey a message appropriately. Got it? Awesome. Give yourselves a round of applause. That was exciting. What degree of light bulb did you get from that message? Let me hear them. Ready? Wait till TLA. Wait till TLA. They're all like Mike's message. They're all like this message. Who would be excited about that class, if you will? Who would be excited to come to a session like that? That's what TLA is on a monthly and weekly basis. So work hard. All right, let's do this. We're going to take a quick 30-second stretch, and we're going to end today, general session, and we're going to go into our late night tables with our reps and branches and districts. I'm going to ask that you facilitate the late night with the FSM. We're going to do a quick stretch, but of course, before we go to the late night tables, 3 announcements. Number 1, we're going to announce our TLA acceptances here. It's going to be really exciting. Number 2, we have some special awards to give out. And then number 3, we have pizza coming as well.
It's lit.
That is lit. Yes. That would for sure, certainly, sir, fall onto the category of litness. Okay. Ready? Now we stand up. Give me 30 seconds. Stand up.